When it comes to potion making, it's not just about the ingredients and the recipe. What we also need to learn is the science of the mechanics behind it, like literal mechanical things like frothing and blending. Having something like this incorporated in the right way can literally bring you from like little thing I made in my kitchen to scientists questioning why this is working so well. And that's why we're going to talk about frothing and blending today. So, this is actually a very universal principle that applies to most things, and specifically things that are fat soluble. If something is fat soluble, you are going to get so much benefit from frothing or blending that concoction. So, the way that we've talked about curcumin in my other videos, all fat soluble compounds have the same absorption challenges that curcumin does. They're going to need a lot of extra help to actually do beneficial work in your body. And that's where the blending comes in. That's where using fats for fat soluble compounds comes in. But we're just going to focus on the blending and frothing of it all. So some of the things that you're going to face better absorption with when you start frothing and blending, it's going to be vitamin A and beta carotene, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K. There's a study by Masharabi in 2015 where they had people eat spinach regularly, mechanical digestion with the chewing, obviously, and then they had people drink blended spinach, right? And because they're scientists and they know the science of solubility and all that, and they're trying to test how much nutrition is getting in people, they added a fat to the spinach. If I hadn't said this before, when you're eating leafy greens, for the most part, all of these leafy greens, you want to get that good stuff in you. That good stuff is fat soluble. So that's a reason that you should be eating oil with your salads, or even putting a little bit of olive oil in a blended green drink is going to bring that way up. But again, let's just get into the mechanics of the blending. So a study by Masharabi in 2015 in Food and Function found that blending spinach with oil increased the beta carotene absorption 6.4 fold just by blending as opposed to chewing. And the mechanical disruption broke down cell walls and created emulsion. So they tested the same thing with lycopene in tomatoes, where they cooked it blended with oil, right? Increased 2 to 4 times availability. Same with lutein, which is in kale and eggs, and acyltaxin. Probably did not say that right. So polyphenols are something that you're going to find in mushrooms too, and they benefit from this a lot as well because they are also fat soluble. So some of the polyphenols that we have are resveratrols in grapes and berries, quercetin in onions and apples, EGCG in green tea, and omega-3 fatty acids, which we've probably all heard of, which is in fish oil, flax seeds, and chia seeds, right? So there is a study by Arons, I think that's right, Arons. There's a study by Arons in 2015 as well in the Journal of Agriculture and Food Chemistry, right? Now this showed that blending berries with milk fat increased polyphenol bioavailability by 82%. That's almost 100%. That's crazy. Fat is very important. Do not be afraid of fat, especially if you need to understand if the food that you're eating has fat soluble compounds, and most do. Most plants have both. You can't be afraid of certain things. You just have to know how to eat them and how the chemistry around those things work, or else you might as well not even be eating well in the first place. So they've tested this with like protein powders, because some people, they go out, like they've got like their travel protein powder, right? So they like are putting it in their liquid in their little shaker bottle, they shake it up and they're good to go, right? Personally, I've never been able to have that shit mixed properly enough to be doing it that way. But they've tested this. They've tested a shaker bottle as opposed to blending or frothing, right? And they have seen that with As opposed to a shaker bottle, doing a blending or frothing, you're getting 30% faster absorption and 12% higher peak levels. Just because you use the new invention instead of your hand, right? And not to say, our bodies can't do as well and we can't do it all, but you give yourself the extra help, then you can take your body to that point where you can do even more. Okay, so Kirstinen did some research in 2012 that was in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and it found that blending chia seeds produced 43% higher short-chain fatty acid production, which is like gut bacteria metabolites, better blood sugar control, and greater satiety. People were not as hungry. So blending disrupts the protective seed coat that normally passes straight through the digestive system intact. But obviously, you break that open and you get access to the nutrition within. So they found that inulin, FOS, and resistant starch wasn't affected much by this blending because they're already water soluble. But if you blend foods that contain them, such as green bananas, Jerusalem artichokes, it's going to break down the cell wall and release those things so that you get access to them. Okay, and I had gotten a little ahead of myself last time, but now we're getting into the mushrooms. So we were dealing with lion's mane in one of my recipes, right? So we start blending down, frothing it up, and this is really going to help with our nutrients, chemicals, minerals, everything that is in the lion's mane, that is in most mushrooms. A study by Rees in Trends in Food and Science and Technology found that the mechanical disruption of the frothing and blending process was able to up the bioavailability of many, many compounds within the mushrooms. So, beta-glucan availability was up 65%. Triterpenoid extraction up 48%. Antioxidant activity up 52%. So that's going to apply to reishi mushrooms, chaga, cordyceps, turkey tail. That's going to also apply to stuff like ashwagandha, rhodiola, eleutherio, and maca powder. And again, this is because the fungal walls are very tough. And in a lot of cases where you have stuff with very tough cell walls, you need to crack those cell walls open to really get it in you. And I would imagine that it's probably beneficial that the cell wall cracking process is happening at home in your own kitchen and then going right into you, as opposed to cracking that cell wall open and have it sit on the shelf for months until you even think about consuming it. They've even done this test on like CBD oil. They found that if you're if you're blending it down, frothing it up, you're going to have 4.6 times higher bioavailability, which is making me think, like, I make some great little pain cream. I might need to start blending that up. I love just making it even better and better. I would love to test that out. There's another study, Wyneck, I think, in 1999, in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, that found that particle size of iron supplements affected absorption. And if you haven't caught on yet, that's what this whole video is about, particle size. Once you get big bit into small bits, how it is absorbed by your body is going to improve. Obviously, it's the same thing as if I have a chunk of ginger that I haven't even chewed and I try to swallow it whole, as opposed to if I chewed that ginger and swallowed it whole. Obviously, chewing it, my stomach's not going to hurt. I'm probably going to get way more nutrition because I'm not trying to break down an entire chunk of ginger. I've got very small bits. You get it. So now we put it into a blender. We have even smaller bits, even better absorption, even more access to the nutrition that's inside of the actual plant, right? So this is something that you should always consider when you're doing these things that are so specifically for your health and for your benefit. Because when you are trying to get, like, if you're sitting there like, I'm juicing to stop whatever bad thing that is happening to me. Great, that's a great path to be on. Now let's get into the science of the plants that you have in your juice and see if you need to add a fat to it. See if you maybe need to heat this up first. Maybe see if you should be blending it at a higher speed. And I know that's a lot to consider, but if you just get the basics in, like heat, blend, extract, drink, you're almost there. I'm sure that you can heal almost anything. Although, unfortunately, we have a problem in this country and many others where plant medicine actually has a much harder time working on you if you eat a particular way. And I hate to say it, because I try not to talk too much shit on here and keep this a page for everybody. But this is directly related to meat consumption. The more meat you eat, the less plant medicine will work on you. And that video is coming up right after this one.